We started reading nonfiction articles in our sessions, and for each article that we read, I wanted to have a different focus. So for this first article, I had the girls focus on just discussing each section of the text and then comprehension. They chose this first article, which is titled How the Wolf Became the Dog, and the Lexile is at about a 520. And I wanted to choose a Lexile that was, a little below, so that it would build their confidence and they'd feel successful when they complete it. And they chose this article themselves. I gave them a few articles to choose from, and they selected this one because I always want to provide them with a choice. And so the videos show them reading each section and just discussing what they read.
You don't live 35,000 years ago. That time is called the Ice Age. Ice covered much of the planet. Your home would have been a hut made of animal bones. You would have eaten grass and wild onions. If you wanted meat, you'd hunt with a rock or a stick. You might not make it back alive. Wild beasts are everywhere. One beast was the saber-toothed tiger. It had 12-inch teeth. Life was hard, but sometimes great beginning. The friendship between humans and dogs.
Right, so why were you girls laughing? What was funny about that?
That they had to eat grass and wild onions.
And wild onions, okay.
And they hunted with rocks and sticks.
Well, that was like caveman times. So what do you think that introduction has to do with how wolves become dogs? Because I didn't really mention that yet.
No.
Not yet.
So what do you think that has to do with it?
Well, it says in the heading for the next paragraph, it says from wolf to dog.
So it's going to jump into that now?
Yeah, probably.
So what do you think those caveman times have to do with like wolves and dogs?
Maybe that's when they became.
Well, like, right, back in the caveman times, we didn't have dogs, like
Yeah.
pets. It was just wolves back then, right? So it was kind of talking about the beginning times, even though it didn't mention wolves.
Am I supposed to?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay. From wolf to dog. Dogs have been by our sides for many years, but scientists are just learning their history. There's still a lot to learn. But one thing is for sure, every dog is a descent of
Descendant?
Yeah.
Do you know what that means? Why don't you look in the glossary?
We've had
Yeah.
descent before. Yeah.
Well, descendant, yeah. Descent means like falling, right?
Animal related to an animal that just lived in the past.
Yeah. So what did it say? Dogs are a descendant to wolves?
To gray wolf.
Right. Yep.
This doesn't mean that a fierce wolf turned into a cute puppy overnight. The change happened slowly. In the Ice Age, humans and animals were enemies, but then humans teamed up with wolves. Why? Some experts think a few wolves went to human camps to find food. These wolves were not as aggressive as other wolves, but they were still tough. Yeah. They could protect humans from other animals, so humans let them stay. These gentler wolves ate human food. They had even gentler pups. The pups grew up to have gentle pups too. This went on and on. After a while, there was a calmer breed of wolves.
All right. Anything to say about that section? Anything surprising or interesting or? So that's how the wolves came about. Like they just kind of teamed up with humans and they became more tame. Do you guys know what tame means?
Isn't that one of our vocab words?
Or was?
Yeah, I think it was from one of the previous articles that we read.
No, it's tears.
Well,
that's
fierce
up- all
is
that's up there.
kind of the opposite of tame. So that's like a really good word to bring up with that. Fierce is like the opposite of tame.
Mm-hmm. So like tamed means like calm and.
Right. All right. Good. The next article is online shopping bad for you? I had the girls choose from a few articles that I had selected because I thought maybe they would see some words in there that were hard to decode, because that would be our focus for this article, as well as the comprehension and discussing. I just wanted to add a different component each time we read a different article. So I didn't up the Lexile per se, because this Lexile is 540, but I was a little bit more aware of, what words they might have a hard time decoding. And the girls did find 2 words in the article that were hard to decode, so we were able to practice the strategies that I wanted to use for decoding, and it turned out really well.
As malls were growing, online shopping began in 1994. A website sold a music CD. It was the first time a credit card was used to buy something online. Amazon opened the same year. It sold only books back then. Some things didn't run as well as at first. Websites were slow. Shoppers had to fill out long forms. Often they could not get help when things went wrong. But service improved. Websites made it easier. Websites made it easier to order.
Order. It's okay. Order.
They had more
All right, there's a word. Write it down.
I know the word.
And then do the same thing. Try to break it into different parts and then sound it out. Okay, so how would you break it down into different parts?
Right here. Don't run again. Okay, you do
Right here. Huh? I think right here.
variety.
Did I spell this?
Okay.
Variety.
Well, if you do it that way, it would be variety. Oh yeah, you missed the E.
Here, right here. And
Okay, so variety. So sound it out.
Variety.
Yes.
Where?
So I would definitely divide it how she did. The VA, just the VA.
Okay.
Then the RI. No, you had it right, Brooke,
I
right?
had it right?
Yeah. So what,
R.
right.
I don't.
So what was the hard,
Oh, there was nothing hard. I just wanted to write on the whiteboard.
I couldn't sound it out at first.
yeah. Okay, so
Then
what was the hard part to sound out? Because I know, Brooke, I know you had troubles because you had previewed it and saw it poke out and you're like, oh, I am not sure I know how to say that before you even read. So
Middle.
the middle part,
Or the last.
the rye, the
I
vari.
think the last.
I think you girls are definitely still looking at the beginning and the end and then thinking it's some word that you've
Seen before.
seen before and saying that instead of really looking at the word as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so breaking it down into parts helps.
Underline it.
So we'll add that to the
Envelope.
envelopes too, okay?
Shopping slow though. People love shopping online because it's confident. Convent.
Okay, all right. So write it on your whiteboard. Copy it from the article. Okay, and now try sounding it out. Try to break it into different parts. So
Purple mark.
con, so she said con, right?
Con. And then here.
Okay, so how would you say it?
Con. Then
And then the last part.
int.
Well, you get it.
Conventional. Conventional.
Convenient.
Oh.
So you got, yeah, instead of the ven, it's veen. I know that's kind of tricky because you would think there'd be like 2 E's, right?
Yes.
So why don't you, well, keep it there. Break.
Okay.
And so what was the part of the word that tripped you up the most?
These two.
The last part.
So how would you say the last part? Well, it's convenient. So I think the middle part was the hardest because it's not then, it's veen. So circle that middle part.
In my purple marker.
So it's veen, not ven. And then you got to sound out that I. Convenient. Okay, so we'll be adding that to like a little envelope with... Envelope. Yes.
Envelope,
See?
same thing.
Potato.
Tomato.
Okay, and we'll go back to that to make sure that you guys keep practicing it so that you know how to pronounce it, okay?
Okay. Should we underline it so we remember?
Yeah, I'd circle it in the article too, and we're gonna add it to your envelopes.
What
Or envelopes.